Hey, what's up, guys? This is Justin from Justice League Swag, and today I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my Hero World computer deck. I really don't like the fact that they changed the name in English to computers because it was, what was it online? It was cybernetics. So it sounds so much cooler. So first up is the Buddy Archive. Archive is like the ideal one that you always want to play because he can place a computer from your drop zone into the soul of a card on your field. So he can place it into the soul of Netman, or he can place it into the soul of a symbol, or just any of your other random cards. So this is the Buddy. I always want to see him because the size 2s that you actually call in the deck may change. Well, depending on your situation. Starting off with my size 0 lineup, I'm running 3. Demon's Assassin, I think it was the Ogre. Ogre's skill is that you could show him to your opponent, then place him face down into the soul of a monster in your field. I used to run this card at 4 online, but it was nerfed once it was actually released, because how it used to read, or unless it was mistranslated, is place this card into the soul of a card on your field. Placing this card into a soul of a card on your field is amazing because then you could place it into your item and other things, and then it could ambush out. So since it's not as busted as it was, I knocked it down to 3, and I may even knock it down to 2. Ideally, you could place this card into the soul of Netman on your field. Then use Netman's ability, where it's Red Shoot or Net Shot, and burn your opponent for 3, or your item will gain, well, your monster will gain double attack and penetrate. And then once this guy is sent from the soul to the drop zone, it will ambush and call itself to the field. So this is really good because it always opens you up to like a full field of attacks. So good card's good. Plus, with my deck variant, I'm running Dark Hero Hideout. So running this guy also helps me plus off a Hideout, because Hideout is not only during your turn. So if you place Zyogre in the soul of, say, a symbol, and on your opponent's turn, your opponent attacks a symbol, and you Soul Guard out Zyogre, and Zyogre ambushes to the field, you will then be drawing a card, as well as ramping up defense. So it's pretty cool. Next up, size 1 lineup. I'm running 4 Archive. He's the Buddy. I mean, he can drive a lot of the computers from drop zone into the souls of cards on your field, which is helpful for getting off a lot of fast defeats for your opponent. But I do not play this deck towards the OTK. Like, a lot of people are running Gambit and Log Out and all of that stuff. But I personally don't, and I mirror matched against that version, and I haven't lost to it at all. Because what it does is it focuses on that stuff so much that you lose hand advantage quick. And once you lose hand advantage right now in this battle, you're probably going to die. So either your opponent will kill your resources, then eventually kill you, or they'll just try to OTK you as well. Now I'm running outs to some of the net shot stuff, and I'll get to that later. I'm running 4 Protocol Lulu. Lulu was really good because if you're transformed into Netman, you get to draw a card when she enters. Then she can also remove the soul from a card that you're transformed into in order for you to gauge. So one of my favorite combinations is to transform into Red Reboot, charge, gain a life, and then I'd use her ability to remove the soul to gauge 2. So it's like essentially I profited a lot in that turn. But cards to let you draw really good. Hackman, I am also running at 4 because I'm running Dark Hero Hideout. When he's placed in front of a card on your field, I mean your opponent's side of the field, you can bounce it back to the hand. So this is really good for matches against stuff like a Thor, because you can bounce it and they literally have no outs to it. Like a lot of the Black Dragon stuff, they can protect their stuff from destruction, but they can't protect their cards from being bounced. So Hackman really gets you there. The only thing I don't like about Hackman is that he costs a gauge to play. So it forces you to focus on gauge ramp in this deck. Lastly, for ones, I'm running 3 Chivalrous Thief of Justice Mukuro. I'm running 3 of this because if it hits one of your opponent's cards, you deal them a damage. So it can help you easily get off net shots for game, as well as it bounces back to your hands. Because this bounces back to your hand, we have another dark hero for hideout to go off easily, as well as attritioning your opponent. So like this deck, well, the way I built it, primarily attritions. So you have ways to get back, well, this goes back to your hand. Mukuro goes back to your hand. And then you have ways to get back Hackman from stuff like backspace. When you cast backspace, you could get Hackman and then play it, then hideout goes off. Oh well. So I'm just trying to ensure that I always have dark heroes when I want. Plus, running the Mukuro allows me to have a full field of size 1s if I absolutely have to play Archive and use his ability on my item. Then I can also have Protocol Lulu on the field, and then Mukuro usually comes to the center for me. Swings at one of my opponent's monsters, then bounces. Then the rest of my field will swing out. Next up, sorry about that, being a dad, my daughter almost fell. Alright, next up for what is it called, Netman size 2, I am running 1 yellow module. I really don't like this ability as much as the other Netman, but this can allow for the OTK without you overcompensating, because when you when you charge, he gains a crit, so it just gets you there for damage. But what I primarily don't like about it is that you not only, if you use his module shot, you bounce your opponent's cards, but your opponent can also call a card if they have it. And a lot of the on-call abilities in this game can be ridiculous, so you really do not want to do that. Another thing I do not like about this, like even though it has a decent defense buff, a lot of the other Netmen don't have decent defense, so you can't really run 100,000 years too early and get the maximum benefit out of it. And then the power for this guy just sucks. You like with Hero World getting such a huge bump in this set, you really need your cards to be swinging over 5k at least. And with him being 4k, this kind of makes it lackluster. So I'm only running 1. And I'm only running 1 until I get another Netman, because I'm running regular Netman, Computer Warrior Netman at 3. I'm only running it at 3 because I primarily go into Red Reboot because I like to play the life game with my opponent, because this meta is very fast, so I'd rather gain life every turn instead of try to damage my opponent and run into damage reducers. So, I mean, I'll still try to take net shots if I know my opponents aren't running damage reducers. I'll go for this, or go for this just to charge and gain gauge. Because as a monster, it's no call cost, so you can just call it, charge, gain a gauge, and this gains a soul guard, and more than likely your opponent is going to swing at it or try to destroy it their next turn. But I would definitely run this card 4 if you can. I'm only running it at 3 because I don't have another Netman, and I haven't found anybody that has extras. But I'm probably just going to open up more boxes here until I pull what I need. Next up, my favorite Netman, Red Reboot. I'm maxing. This card is really amazing. As a monster and item, you charge and then gain life. So it mitigates the need of running so many shields. Plus the double attack and penetrate is really helpful. Especially the double attack, because some people are still playing a Thor. So hitting it is easy because this has 7k. And then also playing against King Kazarian, this already hits King Kazarian. I mean, you could also just shoot at him with the other Netman, but this just gives you multiple ways of destroying your opponent. Lastly, for 2s, one of my favorite 2s in the deck, and I know this is one that Jonathan Minhan hates the most, is Computer Warrior Symbol. It's basically like Gutsman. You call him and he gets the soul from the top of the deck. Then when he is when he's on the field with another computer, all attacks redirect to him. Keep in mind, while you're playing this, you have no choice to do this. So if your opponent is playing Unyielding Bats, you have to watch out for that. And I'll show you a card that I'm playing later to kind of dodge Unyielding Bats. But One of my primary goals that I'll do with this is if I don't have shields, or I don't need to, and I'm charging my shields, I'll call a symbol, and then I'll play archive and take a computer from my drop zone and place it into a soul. Then I'll also take a Zyogre from my hand, show it to my opponent, and then place it in a symbol soul. So now this one symbol has about 3 cards in soul, and your opponent has to wipe it out before they can even attack you. So that makes it a pretty solid defense, as well as him having a decent attack in order to hit your opponent's cards or your opponent themselves. So a symbol was bad. He was the buddy, but sometimes I need to call other 2s, or I want a whole field of 1s. So I had to de-buddy him and make archive the buddy. Next up, spells. I am running Dark Hero Hado at 4 because this helps you draw. Running at 4 because you want to see it as soon as possible. And we don't have a lot of other draw engine in this deck that's really useful. I mean, you could run Cool. I tried running her, but the card is really expensive, and she acts as a like Pseudo shield because more than likely people are always swinging at it. But it was kind of meh in Netman. But it's like Cool is a lot better in like ships and Brave Machines, like other like size 3 focused decks, let's just say. Alright, next up, spells. Control C, staple. It's only once per turn, but it lets you search for anything that's completed in the deck, and that's like everything that's a monster. So Control C, staple. Then I'm running, this is my out to burn damage, and this wins my mirror matches. Defeat them in my place. When they try to net shot me, I just send one of my size 1s to the drop zone and reduce the next damage that I would take to 0 engagement. It's like, okay, now you just net shot. Oh, good luck. Try to do it again. Next up, basically, I've seen through your moves. Summary collection. I'm running at 3. The only reason why I'm running at 3 is for decks that try to OTK you before you even get a turn. A lot of times I usually like end up charging it myself, because once you have a field full set with a symbol, or you start ramping up or reboot, you really don't need these shields anymore because they're just -1 negate. Like my favorite negate in the deck is actually backspace, which I run at 4. The only downside to it is that you have to have a computer on the field in order to cast it, but you'll almost always have a computer on the field, so it's pretty safe. Then lastly are my impacts. I'm only running 2 physical format, and this can completely screw your opponents, because it's like, okay, they may have a full field of cards that cannot be destroyed, but killing their gauge has won me. Like with Thunder Empire, I have not been killed by the impact at all, because I always whiteboard with this and kill gauge. So if they have 4 or 5 gauge, all of that gauge is going back to 2, and you're basically restarting the game for them. So like, as I said before, I'm running my variant primarily as control, so that my opponent really can't do much against me, and I get guaranteed wins instead of trying to go for an OTK that may or may not happen, because it determines, I mean, it's dependent on drawing certain cards and getting them off. So that's it for my Netman deck profile. Please like and subscribe. Oh yeah, also I'm trying to work in another one of these. If you can run this at 3, because physical format is amazing, and then you can always side it out if you don't need it in some matchups. But it's like, it's pretty much good against everything, like even Black Dragons and all of that stuff. But yeah, please like and subscribe, and we'll try to have more deck profiles for everything. We're going to be waiting for Dragon Ball Super deck profiles. Once the new set releases, then we'll start doing those again. Peace.